It's me, Kim, and I've been thinking a lot lately about the invisible architecture of rules that shapes our lives. You know, the explicit laws written down in statute books, but also the unspoken social contracts that guide our behavior. Sometimes, though, the written laws themselves can feel like they've emerged from a parallel universe, a testament to unique historical moments, cultural priorities, or perhaps just a really specific problem someone once had. Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into some of the weirdest laws from around the world that will leave you scratching your head. It's a journey into the human impulse to order, to control, and sometimes to just make things, well, really specific. We're not just talking about those quirky, old, forgotten laws that make for a fun trivia night, though those are certainly part of the tapestry. We're exploring regulations that actively shape daily life or travel experiences in surprising ways. Imagine being told you can't chew gum, a seemingly innocuous habit for millions, or that your choice of footwear could deny you access to millennia of human history. These aren't hypothetical scenarios, they're real rules in real places, and they often tell us something profound, or at least profoundly interesting, about the societies that create and enforce them. It's a fascinating exploration into the peculiar, the specific, and sometimes the surprisingly logical, once you dig a little deeper beneath the surface of initial bewilderment. So grab your metaphorical magnifying glass, or perhaps just a comfortable chair, because we're about to embark on a global tour of legislative oddities. From the meticulously clean streets of Singapore to the ancient stones of Greece and Italy, and even into the sometimes surprisingly regulated nightlife of Japan, we'll uncover the stories behind these rules. It's a reminder that the world is vast and varied, and that what seems perfectly normal in one corner can be utterly bizarre in another, and who knows, maybe we'll even find some strange beauty in the logic of it all. Or perhaps a deeper understanding of what it means to live together in a community. Or maybe we'll just be thoroughly bewildered. Either way, it's going to be an adventure. Singapore's infamous ban on chewing gum. It sounds almost comically authoritarian, doesn't it? Like, of all the things to prohibit, why gum? In Singapore, for a particular period and for particular reasons, it absolutely was. It's a story about Singapore's journey, its priorities, and its willingness to implement drastic measures for the greater good. In the 1980s, under Lee Kuan Yew, cleanliness and order were paramount. Discarded gum was seen as a symbol of social irresponsibility. It disrupted the new mass rapid transit system, so in 1992 the government banned the importation and sale of chewing gum. The penalties for selling gum are severe. Therapeutic gum can be purchased with a prescription. The ban remains a case study in national priorities. Let's journey from the modern streets of Singapore to the ancient grounds of Greece, like the Acropolis in Athens. Here, high heels are banned to preserve historical heritage. High heels can damage ancient marble and stone. Think of it like a tiny hammer blow with every step. This rule applies to many of Greece's archaeological sites. If you wear high heels, you'll be asked to change your footwear. A small adjustment for the sake of preserving history. Following a similar thread of preserving history and ensuring safety, let's hop over to Italy. Another country steeped in ancient wonders and Renaissance grandeur. While perhaps not always as strictly enforced with outright bans like in some Greek sites, there's a strong discouragement of high heels in many of Italy's historic locations, particularly those with delicate flooring or uneven terrain. Think about walking through the Roman Forum, or the ancient city of Pompeii, or even navigating the centuries-old cobblestone streets that characterize so many Italian towns and cities. These are not places designed with modern footwear, let alone stiletto heels, in mind. The surfaces are often uneven, comprised of original stones that have been weathered by time, conflict, and millions of footsteps. High heels can, just as in Greece, cause chipping and scratching, slowly eroding these irreplaceable historical textures. The discouragement often comes in the form of recommendations or guidelines provided to tourists. You might see signs suggesting appropriate footwear, or tour operators might advise their clients beforehand. It's less about a thou shalt not, and more about a we strongly advise against, appealing to the visitor's sense of responsibility and foresight. The Italians, renowned for their own sense of style, understand the allure of fashion, but they also possess a profound connection to their cultural patrimony. One of the primary concerns, much like in Greece, is the cumulative damage. A single person in high heels might not seem like a major threat, but multiply that by the thousands, even millions of tourists who visit these sites each year, and the potential for wear and tear becomes significant. Preserving the authenticity of these sites means minimizing every possible source of degradation, and inappropriate footwear is a relatively easy one to address through awareness. Then there's the very real issue of visitor safety, which is perhaps even more emphasized in the Italian context due to the sheer variety of historic environments. So when planning your Italian adventure, filled with ancient ruins, Renaissance art, and charming medieval towns, the message is clear. Leave the stilettos for the evening passeggiata on a well-paved piazza if you must. Our exploration of peculiar footwear regulations now takes us to another cradle of ancient civilization, Egypt. Here, amidst the colossal pyramids and majestic temples, preserving millennia-old surfaces is crucial. Footwear that could scratch or damage delicate stone carvings and painted floors is restricted. In places like the Valley of the Kings, abrasive shoe soles can cause significant damage. Sandstone, while durable, is susceptible to scratching from modern shoe materials. Every scratch is a loss of detail, a tiny erasure of history. The goal is to prevent anything that could act like sandpaper on these ancient surfaces. Visitors might be asked to wear soft shoe covers or walk on designated wooden boardwalks. This isn't just about preserving beauty, it's about protecting invaluable archaeological information. So if you're planning a trip to explore the wonders of ancient Egypt, opt for soft-soled, comfortable walking shoes. Let's shift gears dramatically, moving from ancient stones and footwear to the vibrant, modern, and sometimes surprisingly regulated nightlife of Japan. For many years, a rather peculiar law was on the books that prohibited dancing in most public establishments after midnight, or in some cases, 1 a.m. This wasn't an ancient decree or a rule to protect artifacts. It was a 20th century law with a fascinating and somewhat complex history, rooted in post-war anxieties and public morality concerns. This law, known as the Fueho, short for Law on Control and Improvement of Amusement Business, was originally enacted in 1948. Its initial intent was to regulate businesses associated with the sex industry and to curb prostitution in the chaotic aftermath of World War II. Dance halls at that time were sometimes seen as fronts or associated venues for less savory activities, and the law aimed to bring them under stricter control. Over the decades, as Japan transformed into an economic powerhouse and its social landscape evolved, the Fueho remained, and its application to nightclubs and dance venues became increasingly anachronistic, yet still enforced. The law required establishments to obtain a special dance license to allow dancing, and these licenses were notoriously difficult to get, and they came with stringent conditions, including specific lighting levels and, crucially, closing times that often meant no dancing after midnight or 1 a.m. For club owners and patrons, this created a bizarre situation. Imagine a thriving DJ set, a packed dance floor, and then, as the clock struck midnight, the music would have to change, the lights might come up slightly, and people would be expected to stop dancing and just stand around or sit. The absurdity of the situation became particularly apparent as Japan prepared to host international events like the Olympics. In 2015, after years of debate and campaigning, the Fueho was finally revised. The new regulations effectively lifted the ban on late-night dancing in many establishments, provided certain conditions regarding lighting and other safety measures are met. And there you have it, a whirlwind tour through some of the world's more peculiar legal landscapes. From the gum-free streets of Singapore to the carefully trodden paths of ancient Greece and Italy, the surface-sensitive sites of Egypt, and the once restricted dance floors of Japan, it's clear that laws are so much more than just dry text in a book. They are reflections of a society's history, its values, its anxieties, and its aspirations. They tell a story about what a particular group of people in a particular time and place deemed important enough to regulate. What I find so fascinating is how these rules, however strange they might seem on the surface, often have a discernible, if sometimes convoluted, logic behind them. Whether it's preserving priceless heritage, maintaining public order, ensuring safety, or upholding a certain moral code, these laws emerge from a human desire to shape the world and our interactions within it. They remind us that normal is a highly relative concept and that the tapestry of human culture is woven with an incredible diversity of beliefs and practices. It makes you wonder about the unwritten rules we follow every day and the stories they might tell about us. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more interesting content. We'd love to hear in the comments if you've encountered any bizarre laws on your travels or in your own communities. What strange regulations have made you scratch your head? Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember that the world is a wonderfully weird and complex place. See you next time.